This video lecture is going to be short. It's just going to discuss subtlety in writing a little bit. We've talked about some of these things in Zoom sessions, but I just wanted to sort of put it all together in one spot and to make a few additional points. The first thing I want to mention is that writing, it should be subtle. You shouldn't be beating your reader over the head. If the reader doesn't have to actively participate in sort of understanding the story and understanding the message, understanding what you're putting forward, then they're not going to pay attention. So you never want to be so blunt and to the point that it's not enjoyable for the reader. That being said, one other point that I want to make is that good writing should be invisible. Good grammar should be invisible. Nobody really stops after reading something and thinks, oh wow, that has great grammar. We may say, oh wow, that was great writing, but we may not necessarily know why. It's when things are bad that they stand out, that they jump off the page. So that's something else to think about when you're writing and revising and proofreading, is that all the great things you're doing should be invisible. They should sort of subconsciously come together for the reader to culminate in something that's enjoyable. That being said, there's a few things that I want to discuss that elaborate on these ideas. First, and we've talked about both of these, but I think it's important to reinforce these and to sort of drive these points home. The first thing is Hemingway's iceberg theory, which states that 70% of the story of what isn't written, or 70% of the story is sort of that underneath the water stuff. 70% of the story is what isn't written. Only 30% is the actual text on the page. Excuse me. So that 70% is, the deeper thing, deeper meanings, deeper themes, subtlety, metaphors, reading what's in between the lines, reading what isn't written. Hemingway took this to an extreme in a lot of his writing. A lot of you became frustrated with hills like white elephants. That is a very extreme version of this. So the 70-30 figures, it's pretty dramatic and unreasonable, but the idea behind this is still good. You want to cut out the obvious. You want to cut out what the reader can sort of put together on their own. A few sort of quotes or ideas that go along with this is that Hemingway said, if you know enough about what you're writing about, the reader will put the pieces together. So this is really a testament to you doing your research and knowing what you're writing about. You won't have to sort of explain the obvious. The reader will sort of put those connections together if you truly know what you're writing about. Show, don't tell, we've talked about that a lot, okay? The second thing, and we've talked about this as well, are objective correlatives. There's an official definition here that I don't really care if you know, but basically what this is, objective correlatives are a chain of events, chain of images, metaphors, anything that create a certain emotional response. When I told you about this, I talked about the widow at the gravesite and how this sort of chaining of images together leads you to an emotional response without the writer telling us what that emotional response is. You see this all the time in writing, in fiction. You see this all the time in TV shows and movies. This helps to develop themes, and it forces the reader to be more active when they read. It forces them to be more attentive and thoughtful and analytical. Okay. The stories that you are going to read this week by Raymond Carver are excellent examples of have excellent examples of objective correlatives. The third story by Raymond Carver, the one I told you you don't have to read, is another set of fantastic objective correlatives in it. And that was what we talked about when we talk about love. So these things, iceberg theory, objective correlatives, and thinking about what isn't written, are going to help you develop this subtlety that helps the reader to be more active in the writing.